things I post about. I have the little Halloween book on Amazon right now. I have another style of podcast that I'm going to start doing every Monday called Drink the Water. And I think you're going to love that. Right now, I am live on Amazon with a visit to you all to tell you what I've been doing. I think as you can look at me and tell, and it was a little bit cooling here. Our our power went off late yesterday. Oh, I'm telling you that here in the southern part of Georgia, my goodness, it feels like hell, and this assures me that I want to live my life where I don't go there because I'm here to tell you that it has been hot enough to fry an egg on your head if you so want to. And I wanted to say I had put on a little sweater when I came in here to the writing room. Hello, poetry. How many of you remember that I said I was going to talk a little bit about poetry today? And I see a little bit going on, and I really don't know how to control this thing exactly. Yet, you know what I am learning? And the great thing about it is, don't you want to learn? If you are an aspiring poet, don't you want to learn all about poetry? And I have some really good poets on here. I would like very much for you to say hello to me today. If you care to, do you care to say hello today? How many of you write poetry? Let's see a lift of the hands. And if you don't write poetry, then my friend, you're going to have to start drinking or something because you're going to have to write some poetry. Um, I have a friend in I'm near Augusta that spent her whole life working for the postal USPS, and her name is Brenda. She's like my one of my twin sisters, and she has got the most wonderful way of describing some of her experiences that she had. Look, if we all had been as smart as she was, we would also on an island on the coast and a boat and some other stuff like she does. But she writes these fabulous thoughts about, and she tells these stories about her day and time on the mail route. And I have said to her many, many times, you girl are so talented. Brenda, hello. I want you to enjoy this. I want you to write some. Can you see me today? Is everybody saying hello? Come on, let's say hello today. Let's see if this thing is going to take off and do anything today. Is it? Is it? Is it? Let's don't go anywhere. Let's go back. Okay. Okay, who's talking today? Somebody's talking. Uh, I've got a, hey, sweetie, I'm so glad you came on. I've been so lonesome for friends lately. Look, I'm here to tell y'all, I want to tell you a poem, okay? If it rains, it pours. And I have been up to my wig I've been up to my hairline, in things going bump of the night, things going a little bit off the rails this month. My oldest son here that lives with me, he takes shots, and they couldn't find his medicine, and so we had to go through all that. We had to go from one drugstore to the next, and the doctor called me 5 times in the last day or two and said they had found his shots. My car is my beautiful older model Cadillac is sitting out there under the pecan tree, won't crack. And why? I'll tell you why. It's been 96, 97, 98, and borderline 100 degrees here in the south part of Georgia, 100 something degrees. It feels horrible. It's like I have friends in Arizona, John and Linda, that makes those beautiful hand cut cards that she makes. Linda makes those, and they're out in Arizona. They said it's 100 some degrees, and it's been like that for days and days. And where El Nino did its thing, they didn't even get any rain, I don't think. So it's been, I'm not used to that unless we're down at the beach on the coast or something. So it has been really hot. And so I don't guess hair cares very much, but all my hair is up there not caring. And I want to tell you that I was going to get on here and we were going to read some poetry. And I was hoping my buddy David would get on or maybe read some of his poetry to us. And I'm inviting him to do that, although not the real crazy stuff. Don't we all write crazy poetry? But what I wanted to say to you, don't you write poetry? Don't you all write poetry and love poetry? If you jot a few lines down, don't you say, oh, I just wrote a poem and how wonderful that feels. Hello, come on, let's grab this thing up today. This is YouTube. Let me tell you something. Because my car is out there parked under the pecan tree and I'm not having any luck, I'm looking for a mechanic that can come and put a new water pump on my car, which is what is wrong with it. The water pump busted because of this heat. That's what all this was about, the heat and everything. So the heat here is just intense. It's just like melting heat. I have a say or somebody wants me to go ahead and talk about poetry, and I'm telling you I'm going to do that. I'll tell you, finish the story about the water heat, the water pump on the car bursting, and somehow I made it back. But I have a daughter that I share with another lady, and I call her my daughter, and her name is Jocelyn Nora. She's a beautiful nurse. And she came and got me a while ago. I have no ride. For the first time in my life, I am afoot. I cannot drive my car. It won't crank it. I've always had two cars there. My boys have always had cars. My youngest son lives in Colorado, so my oldest son, who is here with me, he stopped driving right now. And so I have the only car here, an older model Cadillac, which is also beautiful, and I love that car, but that car is out there and won't crank because it needs that. And I had a friend that told me that she had called one of these mobile traveling mechanics. This is a poem, okay? The man that came and changed her battery wound up charging her something like $600 to put a battery in. Of course, the battery was 100 or 200, but he's like charging her $400 for labor. I don't think so. I don't think so. I don't think I'm going to hire somebody that's going to just rip me off both arms and both legs. And I can already tell you that I need a mechanic, but it's not going to be. Hey, baby, I appreciate you coming on board, and thank you so much. I know who this is right here, and thank you so much. I am just happy to see you folks on here. Some of you are good poets. I know who you are. I know you're good poets. I was going to give a big spill today because I promised you poetry today. You're going to get poetry, right? And the lights had gone on off a night before, last night or yesterday afternoon, and we're off for an hour. We're in this house. I had to go out on the back porch, which is also air conditioned but pretty hot in the afternoon, bring those babies out there inside the house. My kittens, Bulldog and his buddies, Riss and Beaver and all them are running around in there. Let me tell you something. They had to be in here in the air conditioning because I have a heart. I have a heart for critters, okay? So somebody is saying, "What's the matter with your car?" Back to my car, somebody's asking me that here on my live stream. Honey, my car has a busted water, what they call pump, water pump. I want to say water hose, but it's the whole little apparatus. Costs about $30. You may could get one for 40 or 50. If anybody wants to bring one over and install it, because I'm not going to call one of those fly-by-night mobile guys, although I do know some that are good and they don't charge you an arm and a leg, but right now I only have one arm to give them, and so I'm not going to call anybody. Tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to wait for me a shade tree mechanic. When I grew up, every uncle that I had and just about all of my first cousins they were able to just do just about anything. You know what we used to do with cars? They used to take the hoods off of these old cars that had that big fat hood on it. Let me tell you something about that, and this is poetry. Don't you think it's not poetry? Honey, it is poetry, and it is the truth. And the reason it is poetry is because it is the truth. My uncles used to take those big old hoods off of these big old Chryslers and Studebakers and stuff like that. They used to take hoods off those cars when the cars tore up and were beyond repair. They could not be fixed. Okay? We used to put those things in the river. We used to go down to the Satilla River, get on the sandbar out there, and put those car hoods that had no leaks in the river. And we would pile kids in that car hood till you couldn't even elbow to elbow. Here we'd go down the river. It was so much fun. You've never in your life seen such a growing up as what I had. Now, I'll tell you that I wrote a book about my childhood growing up and coming along, and my aunts and uncles. I've written so much about that. And I wrote a book called The Spring Journey of Hibiscus Magnolia. And you will see that if you want to in time to come. Grab a copy or I can send you one. It is a wonderful story of growing up by the river with all my aunts and uncles and the dogs barking in the woods. Do you see what I'm telling you? Your poetry is in your upbringing, people. The best poetry in the world that I've ever read is going to tell me a story. It may be 6 lines, 60. It could be 6 pages, 60 pages, 100 pages, 15 pages. I want you to write honestly. What can I tell you today? What can I tell you today to help you with your poetry? And I'm going to see if I can't tell you a few things. I'm having a great day. Let me tell you something. Somebody wants to make sure I'm all right and that I'm having a great day. Um, I thank the Lord that my big problem right now is sitting under that pecan tree out there. I thank the good Lord that the biggest problem I've got is somehow or another getting a water pump put on my car. I no dummy here, born at night but not last night. I have called the shop that always fixes my cars, and they can't even think about taking my car for 2 more weeks. And you know what? I just don't want to take down there and let it sit for 2 weeks and let somebody get the seats out of it, okay? And down here in the South, you know what? Anyway, what I'm going to tell you is that poetry. I want you to write honest poetry. And I have been talking to a guy with a PhD that writes some pretty fabulous poetry, and we're going to get him on here soon. His name is David, and he is on my side, and I really, really love his wife, and so there's that. They are good friends of mine. We'll get him on here talking about poetry because he actually has a lot more experience actually teaching this than I do, and we'll see what interesting concepts he might have. Interesting concepts go to the next house and move in there, because here I believe in writing honest poetry. I believe that if your poetry is going to win awards and stand out, indeed, if you're going to get a really legitimate, very good poetry press to publish your poems, if you are going to get a really good magazine, and I've got some stuff coming and I'm real proud of it. I've won a lot of awards in my day and time. I think I'll post a picture on my next book of poetry that was taken of me giving a poetry reading at the cloister at Sea Island off the coast of Georgia. I was giving a reading to some Congress people down there with, at that time, the master poet of Georgia, Walt Griffin, who wrote Port Authority. And I can already tell you that poetry is my first love. And the one thing that I have learned through the years, that you must have, the one ingredient, the one essential piece of life, you must have honesty. You must write poetry for the reader. Now, we're going to write this as our own therapy to get it out of us and put our heart on a piece of paper. We're going to give that to you. That's going to be our gift to you, the poetry of the heart. And I ask you that when you write your poetry, that you write poetry that is honest and that touches the reader. If you're not writing for readers of poetry, then you should be in therapy and just writing all these journals. My goodness, write it and save it, and you yourself go back and reread it all the time. But if you want to be a poetry that is known as the great American poet, if you want to share poetry with the world and share moments with the world that you think will do the world a great deal of, make them sit up and take notice and say, wow, look at this phrase here. This really does some things to me. Now, let's think about free verse poetry for a minute. And I'm going to get into this just like I said I would, okay? And this is not going to be that much longer, so stay with me. I've been through way too much the last month or two, and I know my eyes are just exhausted looking. I am exhausted, friends. Let's talk about free verse poetry for a minute. I'm also a songwriter. In the last day or two, I bet I've talked to 2 or 3 school teachers about the little Halloween book that's out, Mauve Cried. Holy smoke, a ghost. And I'm promoting that hot and heavy, and it does have a teacher's guide in it and a list of writing elements for students to write their own books. And the little ghost book. It's on Amazon right now, and I'll talk about that a lot later on in another video the next day or two. I wanted to mention in this little hello poetry, I wanted to mention the one that we all love so much, Walt Whitman. He's considered the father of the American father of free verse poetry. He was the first poet that came along that broke rank. He got out of line. In other words, up until that time, you had the poetry of Elizabeth Browning. You had Shakespeare. You had these great philosophers writing, and you had the poetry that came down the pipeline, and it was not free verse poetry. It was sonnets. It was sing-songy type poetry. And when Walt Whitman came along, Walt Whitman broke rank and started writing in a free verse style. He started writing in what I call a homegrown style and writing it a little bit like people would talk it. And I see my little baby bulldog wants to get up here on the stand. You want to get up here and say hello to everybody? He hasn't felt good today. Hang on just one second. Let me see if I can grab him. If you'll hold on, I'll get him. And so this right here is my baby bulldog. And Bulldog wants to get in the act. He wants to say, I'm going to write a poem and my mommy's going to publish it. He hadn't felt good for a few days. I gave him a bath and all his hair stood up on him and said he hadn't felt good. So I've given him a little bit of medicine. He's the one that's been hanging out and he's had really good days where he feels like a kid. And you can see he is growing. He is growing. He is getting fat. He eats well. He wants to get down again. Can you say hello? I write a poem about Bulldog. Okay, this is Bulldog. Bulldog. And we were trying to teach a flea that came off of him how to jump. And we're going to send that flea to the Olympics. Say that right. Bulldog. So Bulldog, see if you can hop down, Bulldog, and make it from right there. Okay, you can. And he did real good. He is a walking poem. That's Bulldog the cat. So we were talking about Walt Whitman. What did Walt Whitman do that was different? He came along and he was homegrown. He wrote Leaves of Grass. He broke the traditional meter and rhythm, which really just goes to show you that you can break rank. Just because an art form such as poetry, just because the originators of this art form say do it like this, you don't have to do it like that. That's why it's called free verse. That's why it's called free. It is free. It is free. Now, I do have to tell you that I share with my aspiring poets to write honestly, to involve their heart. Let me tell you something. If your poetry is for the reader, it is written for you to share, which it should be. It is an art form. Create art for the world. Make the world a better place. And I see you people. My cat Jazzy. Where's my cat Jazzy? The cat with the one eye is probably outside running around at top speed. He is going to the vet to get neutered, and that will slow him down a little bit, but he's doing really well. I have cats outside and I have cats inside, and they all have names, and I love them all to death, although they are a lot of work. So, back to the poetry. All of this is poetry, okay? Every bit of it's poetry. The cats are poetry. The rose garden I planted after the hurricane hit, all that's poetry. The roses I added after my surgery last summer. My trip through what I went through. My journey to healing from our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ, who touched me and healed me, and my life will never be the same. My journey in a book called What God Told Me, with a yellow cover on Amazon now. Those of you who have read it, I love you so much. I had a lady write me a note and tell me that she had just read my book, What God Told Me. And I told her that I appreciated it so much. And she said, there's more. And I said, what's the more? And she said, this book changed my life. Now, I've heard that before. I've heard that before in one of my romance novels, my southern soft romance novels set on the Georgia coast, called Another Island, Another Moon. A girl told me that had lost her husband, that book changed her life. She said, I was so caught up in grief, and I can hear the song at the end of your book, Silver Threads and Golden Needles. And she said, I heard it just like your girls in the book heard it. I want to thank you all for reading my books. I cannot tell you how much I love you. I'm not one of these people that writes books and I write for children. And I tell you what, there's no joy in the world like writing for children. I write poetry. I can tell you I know all about writing poetry. I know why the girls win the National Book Awards and why the ones that don't. If you are using the word that, THAT, go through your poetry manuscript and cross out every that you might think that is good. It is not that way. It is not that way. Go back and cross out those words. That is the most overused word in the English language. We don't want it. We have nowhere for it. Don't use that. Okay, please. I'm teaching you a few things about poetry here. Now, although Walt Whitman wrote all those, well, to start with, he only wrote 12 poems in his little book, Leaves of Grass, which became quite famous, but not right off the bat. That's the way a lot of poets do it. They write this fabulous poetry and nobody likes it to start with, and then after they've been dead 100 years, people start reading it again and said, oh, I really like that. When Walt Whitman wrote songs like Song of Myself and some other poems, and he got he broke with tradition and he started writing in a normal, what I call a conversational tone. Now, one thing about the conversational tone, and I have a friend, David, who is writing a fabulous new book of poetry called Curtain Call Annulled. He is the best at saying he is aged, but he's going to fight it like a tiger. And I really like that attitude. And we are all really going to like this book and support him in this. I'm supporting every one of you. Tell me what your books are. Tell me what your book of poetry is all about. Are you an aspiring writer, an aspiring poet? Are you a new poet that's just starting out? Listen to me while you can, okay? Look, I'm an old lady. I've got a tore up Cadillac out there. Somebody's on here saying, what kind of car do you want? Well, what I wanted was a Tesla. But see, Elon Musk, he sent me a message and said he was going to send me a brown Tesla and $50,000 to go with it and pay the insurance on it. And so I got on Twitter and said, I'm getting a brown Tesla from Elon Musk. And somebody laughed and said, you've probably been scammed, but I can tell you one thing, you're not going to get a Tesla because you couldn't afford the charging station. This was somebody I didn't even know. And I said to myself, I wonder why he thinks I can't afford a charging station. Is it because I watch my light bill like a hawk? And sometimes I'll burn candles to save on electricity. Look, you know what? I'm not stupid. I didn't even know you had to have a charging station with a Tesla. But I know one thing. I saw all those ads about Teslas, and I know one thing's for sure. If I don't know anything else, you can't blow one up. And don't you just love that? I do. I love it. I love Elon Musk. I thought that note was from him, and somebody said, oh, Miss Peggy, honey, you've been scammed. Well, I know a lot of other people that are in the process of being scammed right now. And I've tried to tell them, and they won't listen to me. You know what? That's a poem right there. How people get scammed. You can write poetry about anything. The best thing in the world to do if you want to write great poetry, if you want to write great prose and lyrical writing that reaches out and grabs people and hugs them, reaches out and wipes their tears when they're so sad and broke down with sorrow, reaches out and helps them lift their wings when they need to work their wings and be reminded that we're all children of a king. We're all children of our Lord and Savior. We own the cattle on 1,000 hills. If you don't think so, you're the wrong room. I believe with all my heart and soul that your poetry is going to be blessed. I believe mine's going to be blessed. I know it. I thank God, like I said before, that the only problem I've got, the biggest problem I've got right now, is a $30 or a $40 water pump or whatever you call it that goes in that Cadillac out there. That's the only problem I've got right now. The cats are running around destroying the house. My son had his shot today and his brain is cooling off a little bit. Bless his heart. My nurse, my friend's daughter, the beautiful young nurse, Nora, that came and took me to run my errands today. Let me tell you something. She has a little something that's come over her called MS, and she's now retired from nursing. We are praying for God to take that off of that child, to take it off of her and heal her. And if you read my book about healing, you know that He can. If you're sick in body, you know that He will. He will give you a better day because He's always got a better way. God will keep you when nobody in this world will keep you. People that you love and care for many, many years will walk off and leave you standing on the banks of the river saying, wonder what happened to that guy. Wonder if he's dead in the water. Let me tell you something. God knows your plans before you know your plans. God has plans for you before you lay your plans out. I'm telling you something, ain't that a wonderful thought? God knows what's ahead. And His plans for our lives, His plan is what's ahead. Let me tell you something. His plans are going to trump our plans any day of the week, and I love that word. I love the word Trump. I'm Trump's biggest fan, okay? I'm on the video. I've been on the video. I helped him get elected to the White House. I got a message from him just like I got from Elon Musk about Tesla. Thanking me. So, silly me. As the world turns, I love you all. I'm going to get on here and I'm going to ask you folks who are on here with me today. The live stream is working. I see it. Man, I tell you, I just love it. I love this live stream stuff. And I'm going to get back on here in a few days with some ideas for your notebook. I'm going to give you some first lines for your poetry. I'm going to give you some titles for a poetry book. I gave this guy a title for a poem, Curtain Call, Annulled. And I love that fits his attitude so much. He is saying, that's it for me. I'm not going any further. I will tell you that Father alone will all know what to do and how to do it. We'll get her done like the best poets of this nation. One other thing I wanted to say to you, because I had an aspiring poet ask me how important it was to become involved in poetry groups. I think poetry groups are absolutely wonderful. It's a wonderful idea to become a member of a poetry group. I advise you to check out the national poetry societies, and each state will have a state group, and then they may be flung out all over the state, but mainly each state is going to have a really nice group of people, probably in the state capitol, and you go to their meetings and you never know who's going to walk in. I've been in the company of Colin Powell and Maya Angelou, one of the greatest experiences of my life. One of the great experiences of my life, sitting down a few rows back, and watching Alison Krauss get on stage with her guitar player from Union Station and start singing, I don't know who holds the future, but I know who holds my hand. And if that ain't poetry, nothing is. So your poetry has to touch my heart, my feelings, myself. I have to access it. I have to relate to it as in all of art. What does that say to me? It really, once you write your poem, it's no longer your poem. You're going to give it to the world. And those readers are going to say, what does this do for me? And therein lies the worth of what you just wrote. Remember that, okay? Keep that in mind as you are writing poetry. Goodbye. All the poetry in the world at my house. Thank you, Lord.